Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast. So, today we're going to discuss basically what we've been doing and giving you some tips and tricks on how you guys can survive this quarantine. So, today with me, I have.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the treasurer for Theatrical Players. Um, I don't
Oh,
know if I should add anything else to my introduction. Hi. Next person.
is it safe to come? Okay. Hi, I'm Celine. I'm the vice president of Theatrical Players. Sorry, I'm currently drinking my iced coffee, so I'm really hyped up to be here.
Hi, my name is Sam, Secretary of LGBT and Allies and Peer Success Coach, and I hope all our essential workers are staying safe right now.
And I'm Michaela, the president of John Jay Radio Club. So, first, I want to ask you guys, we'll each go around and talk about what you've been doing to keep yourself occupied during quarantine so far.
I guess I'll volunteer first. Me personally, I've been doing a lot of things I like. I've watched a bunch of Netflix. I've watched Tiger King. I love that. Speaking of Tiger King, for the one time.
Who hasn't
I,
seen Tiger King yet? I think everyone in the world has seen Tiger King.
oh, it wasn't there. I was gonna have a picture of Carol Baskin pop up, but it didn't pop up. Whatever. So I've watched Tiger King. I've been watching a lot of animes, reading a lot of mangas, exercising. I just started something new. I've decided to write a book, a solid page and half a page in, keeping it strong. And other than that, I've just been like pretty much occupying my time doing whatever. Like I just watched on Disney Plus City of Atlantis. I'm gonna watch the second one later on today. So that's how I've been keeping myself busy.
I've been actually really productive, if I do say so myself. So I've been really busy keeping on track of Theatrical Players things. I'm also part of ACE, so just making sure I'm contacting my ACE advisor, who I love hearing from daily. She's amazing. And I was completing an internship during the semester. I was an intern at the Flushing YMCA, New Americans Welcome Center, and I was assisting ESL classes and helping with secretarial work and things like that. So when the quarantine happened, my site was closed, so I was unsure how I could continue that from home. But my supervisor gave me the amazing opportunity to lead my own ESL class, which is amazing, and I'm so ecstatic for it, and I'm so excited to get started. So I'm going to be leading class twice a week while also keeping on top of my vice president responsibilities. Other than that, I've been doing TikTok actually, just staying like creative and just, I don't know, trying to do things that make me happy.
For me personally, I've been working with student involvement and advocacy. So I've been working with LGBT projects, such as Bringing Center and Bringing Awareness. Today I did the Day of Silence. Let's see, what else have I been doing? I've been attending a lot of student councils meetings, which not a lot of people attend, but they're quite interesting. And I've just been working with like advocacy for the school and trying to understand the funding and how to get information out to students, especially transfer students, and how to help with the transition of first year and transfer students transitioning into school for the next semester, and what classes might look like in the summer and fall courses. So I've been working a lot with that and those project ideas. In addition to that, I've also started like a creative project where it's called Quarantine Diaries, and it's my newest series of artworks where I will create storyboards of my daily routines and different drawings based on around the quarantine and feelings. And I've also been contributing LGBT work to documentaries. So I've just been super busy and swamped at all times. I'm like always in meetings.
So for me, basically, I'm on a similar thing to Eric. So I've just been really watching a whole bunch of Netflix, YouTube. I've been on and off Disney Plus. I've been reading a lot more though. I finished like 5 different books over quarantine, and I've been writing a bit more on the side too. So I have this little side story I'm writing that's currently I'm going to keep bragging about this because I've freaking proud of myself. My story that I am writing for a side thing, just out of like pure passion of writing it, is at 4,000 words. I'm happy about that. Okay. So I want to first address Eric. You said you've been reading like mangas and things like that. What would you recommend for other people to probably read if they want to get into that?
Me personally, it depends on what genre you're going for. Right now I'm reading, I think, how many? I think I'm juggling like 11 or 12 mangas right now. And um, depending on what you like, I would say, for me personally, one manga I'm getting into, I'm a big fighting slash martial arts manga fanatic. It's one of like my guilty pleasures. A manga I'm reading, which is kind of like, you wouldn't know about it unless you looked for it. It's called Holy Land. It's about a bullied shy teen who suddenly, after practicing for a lot of time, is like amazing at fighting. I mean, it depends on what you like. I have specific. I'm very big on action, fighting, shonen. Um, I mean, I depending on what you go for. Like the, I instead of watching Beastars, I read the manga. So I've been reading Beastars. I haven't read it in a while. I have to catch up on a few mangas since I'm juggling so many. Well, it depends on what you go for. Like in all honesty, people make fun of Beastars. I'm not gonna lie, I make fun of Beastars because it's a very weird thing because everyone's on the whole "oh, you're a furry" thing if you watch it or if you read it. But it's the story itself is more than that. It talks about like real social issues and like how there's already a societal difference between carnivores and herbivores, which you can relate to a lot of things. And it talks about how there are interspecies relationships and how, sometimes it's not really like it's not frowned upon as long as it's not carnivore slash herbivore relationships, because then it's a whole dynamic of aren't you scared that the carnivore is going to eat the herbivore? And it addresses a lot of societal issues like in the background if you look for it. So it depends on what you're going for. Like I would like in all honesty, I would say either read or watch Beastars, whatever you want to do. But it's a good manga. I would say just get one of those because it's different from what you're expecting.
Okay, so my next question is going to be for Sam. You said you've been doing a lot of advocacy. What would you recommend for people who want to get into advocating for things during this quarantine?
It depends. Depends on the type of advocacy you're doing, but mostly it's about transitioning to online platforms. So you just have to be really creative with your media outreach and also understand that phone calls are still available. So you can always like call to representatives of organizations you support and represent. If it's more school and advocacy related, it's about connecting communities and students together. I would say the main part is to just not get overwhelmed because it's a lot of information. Advocacy is already a lot on its own, and getting people involved is always the problem. And it's not always going to be easy. People are going through things, and it's a lot to advocate for other issues while this is going on. So you have to understand that, it's relatable, it's understandable, but not everybody can fully emotionally commit to what you're advocating for. And don't take it personally. But other than that, I would just kind of suggest like know what you're going for, focus on what you're going for, and even if that's your niche, stick to it, and just work on all the platforms that you can to try to make it relatable and put it out there for everyone to see.
Okay, so Celine, my question for you is a little bit different. You said you've been into TikTok lately. How do you feel about all these famous celebrities who were trash talking TikTok before the quarantine, moving on to TikTok now?
Well, just in my own personal experience, I haven't really heard about like celebrities like trash talking TikTok. I do think as I've like been exploring it more, um, that it's starting to get a little more attention. So people are like, oh, I'm making a TikTok, like I guess to get what you would say clout. But I believe it's becoming more and more clear, especially during this time, because of the overload of people using it, that TikTok has a very certain algorithm, which is extremely upsetting. And I was discussing this in my sex and gender class, where if you don't fit a certain like type, you don't appear, you're not advertised as much throughout TikTok. So people who are really, really like creating amazing content, like I follow a lot of like cosplayers on TikTok, just because their creative abilities are amazing, and they don't get the amount of attention that they deserve because they don't fit like the certain mold. So I do feel like the amount of people that are overloading it, it's not really advertised. Like I don't see it as much because it's just the same type of people. Like that girl, like no hate to her at all. Like she's amazing, but what is her name? Like Charlie or Carly or something? She's like always on the For You page, or like people always doing like her dances and stuff. It just seems like the same thing over and over and over again.
I just want to make like a quick comment to like bounce off of what you said. Like I know her name. It's like Charlie D'Amelio. I have never seen one of her videos at all. And I spend hours on TikTok. I've never seen a video of Charlie D'Amelio. But Eric, you said you've been watching Netflix, and Celine and Sam, you can chime in on this too. What has been your favorite show that you have watched on Netflix or any streaming platform this quarantine?
I have a few favorites. Um, I'm just gonna start off with the documentary. I know I've said this a bunch of times, but Tiger King is amazing, and especially since they added that 8th episode, it ties it together well, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. But my favorite show that I have watched from Netflix has to be All American. I used to watch Riverdale a lot in the past, and I only watched the first episode of season 4, and then I kind of fell off because school was happening and it was getting hectic. Um, and I heard a lot of mixed things about the season. The show has been up and down constantly, so I don't even know if I'm gonna get back into it because I saw a preview for it and I was like, this is so dumb. I might get back into it, I might not. But there was a show after it called All American that I always skipped. I was like, I don't want to watch a TV show about football. So ironically enough, my mom watched it and she was like, it's amazing. You have to watch it. So I was like, okay, I'm not doing anything. And it's more than that. It talks about a lot of societal issues also, but it just the journey that the character goes on is amazing. And like I've fallen in love with the show. Like I can't wait for season 3. Like I really can't. It's a great show. Like I've recommended it to multiple people. Other than that, I mean, I finished watching The Mandalorian finally on Disney Plus, which is something I've been meaning to do, and I've just been watching like Disney shows now. Like I've like old school. Like I finished Treasure Planet. Then I mentioned earlier Atlantis. I'm probably gonna watch the second movie. I'm just trying to watch anything possible right now. Like even shows I probably wouldn't like. Not even just like on Netflix or Disney Plus shows like I personally don't think I would like. I'm just giving them a shot to see where I'm gonna go. Because I mean, I've done a lot of reading. I've done a little bit of writing. I've done some of my painting. Other than that, like I've gotten it. It's weird. Like those things that excite me. Like I was so excited about painting. I painted for a little bit, and that was fun. And I did it with my little nephew, so it was even more fun. But like I haven't found anything inspirational that I want to paint yet. And for writing, like I'm really big into it. Like I just got into it, and I want to write more. But like the reason I haven't hopped back on like my document for like 4 days is because like it's just I feel like I have no motivation to do it. Like I have this story in my mind. It's just that I don't feel like putting it down on a piece of paper for some reason. And it's just like for certain things I'm super motivated and then for other things I'm not motivated. Like I'll literally sit in my bed for like 30 minutes and I'll be like, let me watch YouTube videos. And like I watch YouTube videos, then I go back and like some of my favorite YouTubers, I watch like year-old videos and I'm like, okay, I don't want to keep watching this because I know these videos. I watched them years ago when they first came out. So it's like I'm really at a point where I'm like, I'm trying to find whatever possible to keep me occupied.
Celine, Sam, would you guys like to cut in? What Netflix or streaming shows have you been enjoying or is your favorite?
Based on like the Tiger King, I've actually decided to do more research as I'm a film minor. So I was actually interested because I actually feel it was a poorly edited documentary piece. Although it was very sensational and interesting and entertaining, I don't necessarily feel that they really had like all of the facts, and I feel like it's, to be honest, like a lot of the community kind of feels like it's a disgrace to documentaries. And I was really interested because I do feel that the piece is very interesting and very entertaining. It's something that was needed at this time. But I found that a lot of it is rooted in like these true crime shows that started like way back in like the 60s, and I decided to trace it further and further. And I found like a lot of its influences and references and why we create media like this and how like we can change narrative and like what these characters actually represent. And I've also been working on documentary pieces myself. So it's actually about a lot of research to me about how we create documentaries, especially I'm trying to work on a COVID documentary with other individuals from the college, as well as an international documentary that I will be participating in, as well as my artwork. So it's very interesting to think of the creative process standpoint from shows like that, and I think that that's something that interests me, as well as I'm very interested in like news sites, so I have specific time set up at the end for news. And if anybody's interested in documentaries, there's actually this very interesting documentary called Three Identical People, and I don't want to spoil what it's about, but it's honestly fantastic. It's really well made. It has a very interesting plot, very interesting story, and asks a lot of interesting questions about us as individuals and how we grow up and the nature versus nurture debate. So I would definitely, if I had to suggest anything, it would be Three Identical People.
And Celine, what about you? What has been your favorite so far?
Well, I've seen that documentary that Sam was talking about, and I feel the same way. I love it. I feel like it's an amazing representation of nature versus nurture, and I definitely second it being recommended. I don't know. So I did watch Tiger King, and I mean it was more interesting to me rather than entertaining. Like it was just kind of like I can't believe this happens type of thing, not like oh my god what's gonna happen next, like keeping you on the edge of your seat. Or not something I can connect with. And if a show doesn't hit in those two marks, it's kind of like a for me, like it's just like hanging there for me. But I feel kind of like weird mentioning what I've been watching, but actually I got into Steven Universe extremely late. The show like just ended and it just wrapped up, and I was able to watch all of season 1 through 5 on Hulu, and then all of it through the Cartoon Network app. And I was just extremely impressed with the way that this show touches on mental health issues and traumas and things like that. I was like completely blown away. I was like, I understand it's supposed to be geared towards children, but there's so many things that it covers and there's so many characters that you can relate to that I was just completely stunned by. And I think it's amazing and I would highly recommend it. I know like cartoons aren't for everybody, and trust me, I've never been like that type of person where I was like, oh let me watch a cartoon, but that show is so great. Other than that, I've actually been watching a lot of YouTube. My favorite YouTubers right now, it's a family channel. Their names are Rochelle and Justin, and they're actually, they just gave birth to twins a couple of days ago. So I've been keeping up with their videos every day, like the anticipation of when the twins were gonna arrive. So having something to look forward to every day with their videos being uploaded has really like kept me entertained.
So for me, it's been this one show, and people have been shocked when they tell them I'm only just now getting into the show based on like what my interests are. They thought I would have been watched it before. But right now, I'm binging Supernatural. And basically, a lot of people who I tell I'm watching this show, they think I already saw it. And for me, it's just like really good because not only that it's like super long, like it has 15 seasons, but it's like a really long show. And it has a lot that, especially if you're into like supernatural, paranormal stuff, it has a lot that can interest you. I'm saying a lot, but basically the show's like very entertaining and it keeps you interested because it has like this really fleshed out storyline and it keeps you wondering what's going to happen next. So that's what I've been watching lately on Netflix. So Eric, you said you've been writing, and Celine, you said you've been doing TikTok. What would you guys recommend to people who want to be more creative over quarantine?
Oof, that's a big question. Well, I feel like since we're both representatives of the Performing Arts Club, or at least one of them, to us, to me at least, creativity is like a big thing for me. So how to like, what to say to people who are, I guess just to like see if there's like a pattern in things that you like things that you watch, the things you're interested in, maybe things you collect. And if there's a pattern, maybe like explore the different paths that can take you. I was extremely and still extremely into cosmetics and makeup collections and things like that. So I've been like trying to like perfect or semi-perfect skills over this break. So yeah, I mean, just like I don't know, maybe listen to something new, try a new genre of music, see where it takes you, you know, things like that.
For me personally, um, when it came to that, like I've always wanted to write a book for years, but what happened for me is I just finally have the time to do it, and um it's been weird for me because like I said, I've always wanted to write a book. I've had an idea for a while, but like for me, when it comes to writing the book, I had to find inspiration from my surrounding and like shows I've watched. So I'm not going to give away like the theme of my like the whole like story of my book, but I'm basically doing a murder slash mystery kind of thing, and it comes from just watching a bunch of different shows like You and like Law and Order and like a bunch of things I'm interested in, and I'm kind of putting my own twist on it by having my character be slightly different than what is expected. Um, like I said, it's like a hard question to answer. It's just taking inspiration from your surrounding area, whether it be online or in person. So I'm taking my inspiration from online, and I'm kind of trying to make my own thing, and hopefully it goes well. Like I said, it's like when you have something in your mind, especially an idea or like you have like a creative idea in your mind, you want to get it down as soon as you can on paper. But the problem is once you have the idea, you have this big picture, and then once you have that big picture, you have to realize you have to nitpick the smaller picture to build into the big picture. So it's like it's very difficult. I know for me right now with this, but the whole like you just gotta get inspiration from whatever you can. In all honesty, like have this creative flow, I guess.
So I want to backtrack a little bit back to where you had said, Eric, that you felt yourself not really having motivation. So this is where I want to like bring in a tip. So for me, the other day, I found out one of my favorite artists, one of my favorite bands, their lead guitarist had died and had put me in like a really big rut. And I lost like a lot of motivation that day. And one thing that helped me is like for that day, I didn't really do anything. I kept to myself. But the next day, I decided to like, I guess you could say I escaped into my own mind, basically. And I like put myself in a state where I was like listening to music I really enjoyed. And I put my task in front of me, which was writing my little side story. And I had gotten in such a groove that in about an hour I had wrote 1,000 words. So I guess my tip is basically if you feel like you're losing motivation to just like put yourself in a place where you feel at peace enough to move on. If you guys want to share any tips and tricks for this quarantine that you think people might enjoy, we can do that.
Um,
Well, yeah, I mean, I relate to what Eric was saying about the motivation, not so much in like creative projects or even like academics, just like household things, or like I really want to work out during the quarantine, and I'm like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Like I don't feel like I like the motivation. I guess just like something that I know helps a lot of people is like doing like daily mantras or like manifesting and things. So I guess like waking up every day and like giving yourself a purpose for that day and a purpose like as a whole. What I started doing actually just to stay more on top of my game. I used to write everything in my planner, but then that requires me relying that I'm going to check my planner every day. So what I did was I took post-its and I started to write like things I had to do, and I would put like exclamation points like yelling, and I would put them right above my doorknob. So every time I would go to leave my room, it would be like workout. and I'd be like, oh, you know, fine. And I'd go do it. I feel like pressured to do it where I remind myself. But like for the most part, I would say like be gentle. If you're the type of person where like something like that is going to make you feel like there's too much chaos, I wouldn't recommend that. But like everybody does things differently. So be gentle, but like also give like every day a purpose, you know? And definitely like stay off like media and stuff, especially with the news, because everybody can get like a bit stressed out.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, like I was saying, like I have, like it's like lacking the motivations for creative pursuits. Like I feel like my motivation is very differently oriented. Like for school slash academics, it's really not like a motivation thing. It's like I gotta do what I gotta do, and I just get it done. My motivation easily comes to me whenever it comes to like physical activities like working out or things like that. But like for like writing the book, like that, like I have no, like I've just lost motivation for it at some points. I'm like, I don't even know what to write. And like right now I have motivation. So I'm like, after this, I'm gonna continue writing it. I'm probably not gonna get like super far. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write 20 pages. Like, no, I'm just gonna write it out, see how I go with it. Like Celine said, I'm gonna be gentle with it. I don't want to force myself because then I'm gonna feel like the story's forced. But for like things like working out, even if I don't feel like doing it, it's just remembrance of, you know, you plan it out in advance how you're gonna do it. And then even if you could literally spend however much time you want to do it, like however you feel like you wanna keep yourself in like a sort of movement state, or as if you want to keep yourself healthy. It's just a matter of just realizing that at the end of the day, we're all stuck inside, and motivation is like really definitely low for a lot of people. But it's like, think about it like this, you know, if you're going to be sitting here for an hour, at least use the hour to do something that you feel like you want to do, whether it be physical or creative or academic. And, you know, especially for the physical, if you put it like that, you do that for, you say you do that for an hour, like I was saying earlier, you know, you did that. And, you know, the rest of the day, you're going to have this like sense of like kind of adrenaline. You're going to be pumped. You're going to want to do things more. And, you know, it kind of like helps out in a lot of ways too, because like Feline was saying, you know, with everything on the news, if you're stressed, you know, sometimes I know a lot of people will be like, oh, hey, you know, I'll work my stress out in one way or another. But the best way to get rid of the stress, in my opinion, is just work it out. Because once you're able to get yourself moving, you're not going to be focused on that. You're going to be focused on what's next. You know, I didn't like how that was, so let me go back and do it again. This way I can work it out. And then by the end of it, you'll be sitting there, you're like, what was I even stressed about? Or you'll be have it on your mind. You'll be like, you know what? I got all this energy out of my body. I'm not even stressed about it anymore. I'm just going to let it be how it is. So when it comes to motivation, just like, yeah, it's not even like you got to be like, oh yeah, let's do this, do that. It's like, you know, just think about it like this, you know, we're all home, we're stuck inside 24/7, you know, at least do 23/7, you know, use that hour to do something you want to do. Like if you've been dreaming to get that, if you're dreaming healthier, you know, just, you know, it's an hour, you know, it'll help. You don't have to do it like every day if that's what people are worried about. You just do what makes yourself comfortable. And if you're really into it, a pattern starts to develop. Just start off small, and then eventually it just becomes a part of your life.
So that's going to wrap it up for today's podcast. So thank you guys for being here. I hope you have a good day. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.